Hi, I'm Dr. Christy Goodwin, a Neuro-Performance scientist, speaker, and executive coach who learned the hard way that chasing success can come at a cost. After burnout landed me in hospital, I made it my mission to help ambitious women who are done trading their health and happiness for high performance. On Spacious Success, I share science-backed strategies and real stories to help you flourish as a female at work and beyond so you can stop paying the success tax. I often say we get about 4,000 weeks on this planet. That means we get 4,000 Sundays if we're lucky, because I've learnt that good health is a privilege and it's never ever a promise. I often remind my audiences of that in keynotes, and every single time I say it, the weight of that number really hits me. And so today's guest, Taryn Brumfitt, reminds us of a very similar truth, but in her words, we only get about 28,000 days. Oh my goodness, that is sobering. If we're really lucky, and we're not meant to waste that at war with our bodies. Oh, bravo. I first encountered Taryn through her viral body image advocacy work. And like many of us, it was her work behind the viral moments that I've come to really deeply respect and, if truth be told, admire. She's a global speaker, a passionate mum, and someone who reminds us of just how precious and fragile our time is. I'm joined by the extraordinary Taryn Brumfitt, 2023 Australian of the Year. Does that ever sink in? Does that?
No.
She is a filmmaker, an author, a speaker, and a global advocate for positive body image through her Embrace movement. She's spoken everywhere, including Outback Australia, Harvard, Google, and the White House. And she's inspired millions of people with her courage, her clarity, and her conviction. And for me, that inspiration is actually really personal. I first heard Taryn speak at a Mum's Society event. I don't know if you remember this, Taryn. I don't actually remember a lot of it because I was there with a 3-month-old baby. My boobs were leaking. I made the fatal error of wearing a lemon dress with lactating, leaking breasts. It was not going well, but I sat there and I vividly remember it back in 2019. I was stepping onto bigger stages myself, and when I watched you share your story with honesty, with power, with conviction, it planted a seed in me that maybe my own story was worth sharing too. Maybe I could dream bigger and do this too. And that moment helped me to propel my speaking journey. And so, Taryn, you were the catalyst for me to confirm that I wanted to become a global speaker. And you are proof that one action taken from truth can literally, not just metaphorically, change the world. Your story is a masterclass in what happens when we stop waiting for permission and we just start backing ourselves. You encourage us to get off the sidelines of our life because no one's going to deliver a eulogy about our thigh gap. And so I'd love to dive in. Welcome to the show, Taryn.
Oh, thank you for those lovely words. And, it's really lovely that you say that about propelling you onto bigger stages, but it's just what we do for each other. It's like what misrepresentation watching that film in a cinema did for me. It gave me permission and a little nudge. Maybe I could make a film. It's just what we do, but it's really nice to hear that because I've admired your work for a long time, and you know how obsessed I am with your book and how many copies I buy people and take stats around. Treat that book like it's my book. I'm like, here, have a book.
Thank you.
But it's a real game changer.
That's very kind of you to say. And I love that reminder because I think there's such power in humans encouraging others to dream big, to live big. But I also particularly think that women supporting other women, cheering them on, saying their name in rooms when they're not there is just such an important topic and something that we need to keep talking about.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so I'd like to take us back. Let's rewind back to 2013. You uploaded some what we call at the time, certainly not today, but they were some unconventional before and after photos, and it was on Facebook. Was it correct? Then you went to bed. What happened next?
It just went so viral. You couldn't have planned what happened next, and it was the catalyst for everything that's happened since over the last 12 years. The photographs were unconventional because they were back to front. Normally, we see before and afters. There's a person before in a larger body, and they're sad, and then they lose weight, and miraculously they become happy. And really, I just wanted to share it with some friends to help them to appreciate that health is not just physical, and it's not anything that you can actually see. It's emotional, it's spiritual, it's mental, it's all of those things. So it was pretty wild. I was a photographer at the time. I had 3 young children. I had no interest in being a public figure. My closest friends would say, that's BS, Taryn, you wanted to be a singer. And I'm like, yeah, at karaoke on a Saturday night, I'll own it. But I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to speak. I remember the first interview I did on the Today Show. It was like the biggest deal in the whole world for me to do this. It was massive, but one foot in front of the next. It's just what we do. And I've had some really good counsel around me. I've got great family and friends who are always really grounding. But very quickly, I acknowledge that this was actually not about me. This is about creating change, and that pivot in my own thinking, even talking in front of big stages. I remember right at the beginning doing a business chicks tour, and I said to my friend Nigel from the film Embrace, I was saying to him, oh, I'm so nervous, the crowd, there's like 1,000 people out there. And he's like, Taryn, it's not about you, it's about what you're saying. And I was like, we need to get out of our own way to do the things.
I love that. So you were an accidental thought leader. You had
no exactly.
I love that. And who would have thought that one mouse click, literally a mouse click, would have become a movement? And I love the way you've reframed that it's the message and the conviction in your message and your purpose that drives you. It's not necessarily the accolades or the stages. And do you think that's what's helped you achieve the success that you have?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I sometimes I think like I'm the conduit to the pain and the stories and what we can do next. And I think the fact that I'm not really phased. I mean, I had a good grounding with my dad. Always taught me that people, we're all born the same. We all leave the world the same. We treat everyone with equal respect. And that was a very core value of mine. So that means that, of course, I flip out when I get an invitation to the White House. Like that's the real moment where I'm like, oh my God. But for the most part, 99.9% of the time, I just couldn't really care less. I care about every person and about their humility, their generosity, their humor, not how much they've got in the bank or who they're showing up with at parties or if they're on TV. None of that stuff matters. It's about who we are as people.
I have 3 sons, and I call them car chats. So when they're trapped in my close proximity on the way to school or sport training, I go heavy on the mum philosophy and the life lessons. And this morning's car chat was actually one of my favorite all-time quotes. Maya Angelou, who I found through Oprah Winfrey growing up as a personal development junkie in the 1980s and 90s. Maya Angelou used to say, people will never remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And I think if we all remember that, that our actions and our intentions are so important. And in a world where we can be anything, I think choose kindness. I just think it's
I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm glad someone else has the car chats too, that they're trapped, because I have 4 teenagers and it's where I do my best work.
Absolutely. And there's neuroscience behind it, because we know, especially adolescents, they don't particularly like face-to-face direct eye contact conversation. They love side by side. Or don't know if you remember, do you remember Dickie Nee from Hey Hey It's Saturday? The character that used, kids love Dickie Nee conversations. They love talking to the back of your head. This is why they divulge their biggest secrets and worries when you lay down next to them in the bed, and why when you go for a walk, they start to talk to you. So there's actually science behind that, but we digress.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard you say before that having a healthy relationship with your body is like having a superpower, and everyone deserves that. I recently watched something on social media, and I will admit it stopped me in my tracks. It said something like this, and I unfortunately didn't save it. It was one of those great posts that you scroll past and it hit you, but you never hit that damn save button and you can't retrieve it again. But it said, no one is going to stand at your eulogy and talk about the amazing thigh gap, how amazing your thigh gap was, or the effort you went into to fit into your size 26 jeans. Why do so many of us, but particularly women, have such a challenging relationship with our bodies?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big complex question because there's a lot of reasons. You know, it goes right back to when we started marketing products to people to make money off their insecurities. I think if we could distill it down, when we feel bad about our bodies, there are trillion-dollar industries, beauty, diet, cosmetic, that are making lots of money. So making us feel bad is good for them, and they are very powerful. But I think what we need to remember in all of these conversations is that we are in actual control, and we get to choose the relationship that we have with these messages. And I think for a long time, I mean, that's what how this all began, was when I shared my story about how I felt about my body, and then 7,000 emails and messages later from people all around the world sharing how they felt. It was almost like it was something that we weren't talking about it. It was tucked away. And now over the last decade, we're really talking about it. And now we've got to push back and actually put ourselves in the driver's seat and go, it feels really shit. And when you're constantly trying to change your body, how can I focus more on functionality of my body over my appearance? We're not saying people not to care about what they look like. You know, do your hair, wear the clothes, get the makeup, do whatever. Do whatever you want to do with your body, as long as it feels good to you. But I think the key message is focus more on how you feel than how you look. And if we could just simply get that balance, we'd all be a whole lot happier.
Yeah, wouldn't we? I'm also going to say it's really hard. Like, I would like to think that I'm quite intentional. You know, I've curated my social media feed, so I only follow people that lift me up or inspire me or challenge my thinking. But I will admit, in the last few months, given my age and obviously my demographic profile online, the algorithm has served me up a plethora of perimenopause content. I love a good perimenopausal meme. I'm just saying, I'm not opposed to that. So Instagram, if you're listening, please keep serving the funny ones up. But I've also been inundated with sponsored posts about GLP-1 medications. And I feel like even if you are intentional, it is a constant and incessant battle to tap into exactly what you just said, focusing on how we feel rather than how we look. Any advice? Do you see this as well? Anything that we can do to try and tackle this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think it's great that you've curated your feed, and I still meet so many people that actually don't do a lot of that. It's almost like, oh, it's happening to us. And we've just got to remind ourselves that no. When we used to read magazines way back when, we really had no control over what was there. But now our worlds are digital, and we get to decide who we let in. Jamila Jamil in the Embrace Kids film says 4 words that were really powerful for kids to hear and good for adults to hear too. She said, block, mute, delete, repeat. And I just think we need to stay on top of that. Just 4 simple words. But also, I think it's good to recognize the messages and what they do to us and how they make us feel, and actually just sort of unpack it from the perspective of, what are they trying to do when they make me feel this way? And then, am I going to engage in that? What can I focus on other than that? It is complex, and I think it's very noisy. I think as when we're having our human being relationships and interactions, I think, given the bombardment that we have online, that we should make pacts with all of our friends to not talk about our bodies ever again. Let's not talk about GLP-1s, or let's not talk about diets, or let's not talk about how someone looked in their body. Let's stop all of that. At least we can control some of the spaces that we have in real life. And that is really powerful to do that with friends.
I love that. And again, I love what you said there about our analog relationships, and particularly as females. We know that females regulate stress through tending and befriending. Let's make sure that even if we can't necessarily have full control, we do have, I agree, some control over our digital interactions, that our analog, offline, real life, our IRL interactions
Mm.
are rich and refueling, and we skip that dialogue altogether. I love that. I think that's so. And how often do we like, not necessarily judgment, but we pass comments on somebody's physical appearance, and often with good intentions. But I agree,
Mhm.
shaping that conversation to be about bolder, bigger topics is so important.
Yeah,
I
it's the
love
least
that.
interesting thing about us is the way
Yeah,
we look.
isn't
It's
it?
the very least
Yeah.
interesting thing.
Hence
So
why we're
carve
not
out the
talking about
space.
it at a eulogy. Like, that's not what we.
Exactly. That's right. But I have seen this work because I've actually, it's one of the strategies that I've asked for people in groups in schools, but with adults
Yeah.
too, to have the conversation with your girlfriends. What a great time to do it. It's wrapping up the year
Yep.
of the snake. Here we
Yep.
go, the year of the horse. Sit down with your friends in January over a drink and say, how about this year we
Mm,
try never talking about anyone else's body or our bodies in a
yep.
negative way again. Let's just stop talking about bodies.
Love that.
I would love to hear what that feels like at the end of
Yeah.
the year. Lots more energy, I
I
suspect.
completely agree. I love that. And such a simple thing to do. That's not
Mm-hmm.
cumbersome or time consuming. We know that a lot of us get stuck in the compare and despair phenomenon, especially women. And we know that social media definitely fuels this loop. But why do we keep comparing our behind the scenes chaos? I'm going to speak for myself here. My life is often chaotic. And we compare it to everyone's highlight reel, the sponsored, filtered, edited, unattainable life. I often say, I think we need, if we are going to be on social media, to share the shiny and the shabby parts of our life. Do you agree? Do you think that's not a fair thing? I'd love to hear what you think in that
No,
regard.
I wholeheartedly agree. There's a great quote by a man called Steve Furtick who says, don't compare your behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. And
Mm,
I've used that in every single keynote. And people like the penny drops, people are like, oh, I think I do a lot of that comparisonitis. And as you would know, we are wired to compare.
yeah,
It's something that it happens,
yeah,
and it's what we do with it next, and it's about catching the comparison.
yeah.
And I think it's good to build little stories around it because that's been helpful for me. If
Mm,
I've compared, I'm like, oh, comparisonitis is here again.
yeah.
I think it's important to catch it, but also recognizing that comparison moves us, it moves us outward, and then
Mm,
intentions bring us back to
I love that.
ourselves. And
Yes.
I think, what do I need? What can I
Mm,
give myself right now? What do I feel might be lacking that I'm
mm,
observing in somebody else? Sometimes we can use the comparisonitis in a positive way and go,
yeah,
oh, I feel like that person who's in nature and seems to be so peaceful, maybe there's something that I need here that I could do more.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's really important for everyone who's listening to understand that we do so much of that. We compare
Oh,
our partners and our relationships and our holidays and our bodies, and it can make us feel really crap.
yeah.
I will say though, the most important thing is online and on social media. We know that as little as 7 minutes on Instagram can make you feel depressed or
Yes.
anxious
Wow.
if you're looking at bodies.
Yeah.
But if you're
Wow.
looking at cat videos or dog videos or anything else other than bodies, then you're not going to have that great despair. So
Yeah.
again, I think it's about being really responsible.
Yeah.
If there are things showing up in your feed that make you feel a bit lousy, especially bodies, because we're going to go,
Yeah.
how do I compare how my body looks to how her body looks?
Yeah.
And then we're going to find a problem to fix that
Yeah.
wasn't even there.
Yeah.
And then we know where we go from there.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
get really discerning
I
about
love
who
that.
you're letting.
Yeah, and I like that you pointed out it can have positive advantages too. If we're following things that inspire us, that uplift us, that elevate or challenge our thinking. I
Mm,
also liked what you said, and the science behind it is we have a negativity bias as humans. So we are hardwired, that's how it helped us to evolve as a species, to be on the hunt or the lookout for negative or detrimental or harmful things. So we will hover over, the video on the algorithm of something that catches our interest, and then we fuel the algorithm to serve us even more. So it becomes a vicious cycle that we literally can't escape despite our
yeah.
intentions.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, you often talk about us needing to tame doubt and to choose courage. You've obviously had to do this throughout your unexpected career as a global thought leader. What's helped you to do this? How have you chosen courage? What's helped you to do this? And obviously, you've had to do it repeatedly to evolve into the speaker, a filmmaker. What are some tangible things that listeners could take away?
Yeah, so here's the thing about doubt is that I often would just try and push doubt away and ignore it and battle with it. And that didn't work. And then when I realized, and this is many, many years ago, when I made peace with the fact that doubt is a passenger in life with me, and it's important too to have doubt. Otherwise, we would be
Yeah.
making really reckless decisions
we?
left, right, and center. So it's just having that relationship with doubt that, okay, so you're not in the driver's seat, but you're on the bus and you can go to the back of the bus because I've kind of got this. So I think, but what I also love about doubt, that in the word doubt is do. I love that. So in your closest moments of vulnerability and like, oh, the whispers of, can you do this? Should you do this? What are people going to think? There's a little do in there as well. And then in terms of courage, what I love about courage, it's not something that you either have or have not got. It is something that you can cultivate.
Yep.
And going back to that first interview that I talked about before, like on Channel 9 on the Today Show, the first time I've ever been on TV, and oh my God, my wheels were spinning in ways that took so much energy and thought, and I was overthinking it. And it took courage to lean into that. But I did. And then now 10, 12 years down the track, it's a lot easier. But we've got to acknowledge and recognize that those little moments along the way where we're practicing sort of small amounts of courage, the small wins, are really important for the big ones. I mean, people have seen me deliver a speech, whether it's the Australian of the Year or whether I was at Harvard, when I was at the White House. It just didn't just happen. There was many things along the way that supported the confidence to do those big things, which, mind you, were still a little bit scary, but it's also just having that relationship with the feelings and the thoughts as well. Oh, doubt's here. Just like comparisonitis is here, and that's okay. What do I need to back myself in this moment? Also, I gamify my life a lot. So when I was at the White House, I remember having the worst case of imposter syndrome. I was standing with this group of men, world leaders, big heavy hitters, and all I could think was, someone's going to ask me what I do. What am I going to say? I teach people to embrace their bodies for a living. Like, I felt so out of place. And I remember being there, and I wasted that first half an hour of the White House because I was so consumed and so in my head. And then I said to myself, Taryn, let's have some fun here. I want you to go find the most interesting person in the room. So off I went. I found someone very sparkly. It happened to be one of the B-52s. We ended up singing Love Shack. We had this really awesome moment. And I just thought that little gamification moment that I actually not sure that we all do enough of.
Yes.
I think it's a really sweet, powerful pivot out of, this is scary, the imposter thing, or whatever you want to call it, that there's always opportunity to have a little bit of fun as well to get yourself out of the stuck zone.
I agree. And I think, I have the privilege of working with a lot of ambitious women in a coaching capacity. And when I often ask them what they do for fun or what they do to play, they look at me almost with a blank expression. So I completely echo what you're saying, that we need to bring fun and play back into our lives, especially in those challenging moments. And, if you hadn't done that, you wouldn't have had your B-52 sparkly dress.
No, that's right. I would have only have drunk B-52s, not sung with a B-52.
So true.
Some listeners might know what I'm referring to. Do you ever have one of them?
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Back in the day.
Yes. That or a Midori splice.
Oh my God, yes.
And I love what you shared here, because obviously you've had moments in your life where you contemplated pulling back, when you were talking about feeling intimidated in the White House. What's the self-talk? Is it the looking for the elements of fun? Is it saying, that do is in the word doubt? Is there anything else that you do that, when you're second guessing yourself when that imposter syndrome hits, when you're really in a moment of self-doubt, is there anything else that you do or say that shifts you out of that?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of, certainly before speaking, even though I've
Mhm.
delivered hundreds of
Yeah.
talks and I love speaking and I'm really good at speaking,
Yep.
I still get terrified before I go. And I still have little moments of dancing. So I have things that I do to
Mm.
anchor my body physically.
Yes.
I also have practices like John Farnham. I use that to pressure down. In my
Oh,
2023 year, a friend of mine, Ellen Hooper, was like, we knew that I needed some real support in that year. And so I would play it in the mornings when I was feeling under pressure, and I'd literally just dust away the pressure out. I just get it out of my body. So I have
yeah.
lots of different rituals, but I think probably the most important one is, when you, never spoken about this, so let me see if I can get it, the words. Like a computer data analysis, like
Mhm.
a
Yep.
like I don't even know what it is. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
I
It's
do.
almost like in moments where you're feeling something, it's knowing yourself so well
Mm.
that you can do a really quick analysis,
Yes.
go, okay, where is this coming from?
Yep.
And what do I need to do
Yep.
to compensate or support that emotion?
Yeah, almost like a body scan, like a
It it is.
somatic scan would be the scientific term I might put around it, but it's tuning in
Yeah.
and
It
asking,
really is
yeah,
tuning in. What do I need right now? Why am I
yeah,
feeling this way? And I think it's also not when what hits the fan that we always want to
mm,
go there. I actually think
mm,
I think the key to being sort of successful, whatever that means to people, is the work in the lead up.
yes,
It's the foundation. It's like painting,
yeah,
it's the 80% of all of
yeah.
that prep.
Yeah, and I love that you spoke about rituals because there's so much science, but our brain is constantly scanning the environment and it's processing 11 million bits of data a second, which is mind-blowing. And so our brain needs us to make what I call congruent cognitive associations. So it needs to have repeatable signals, whether it's what we drink or smell or taste or listen. And that's why I love that you used music. But those repeatable systems send a cognitive trigger to your brain that this is about what's going to happen next. So your neural
Mm.
pathways get activated, and so you feel much steadier. And there's actually been some studies done, and they tell us that just 9 minutes, and they are so precise that it's 9 minutes. Obviously, you can do more, but the minimum threshold, 9 minutes of listening to music, and it can be whatever tickles your fancy. It will elevate your mood, it will put you in an alert focused state. That's so achievable for all of us to do. So when we're about to, tackle something and doubts creeping in, when we're about to step on a stage, when we're about to pitch something, we're going to tackle that tricky conversation with our partner. There are things like rituals we can put in place that will help us to anchor in. I love that.
Yeah, I think it's just
Brilliant.
making sure that everyone who's listening knows that rituals that work for me won't work for you, but
Yes.
really put in the time to work out what they
Yeah.
are. Because I
Yeah.
didn't have the John Farnham take the pressure down ritual until 2023, but now I use other songs to
Yeah.
support that. But I didn't know about that in before 2023. So
Love
it's
that.
always constantly evolving.
Yeah, brilliant. So I'm assuming as a working mum, you're probably applying some of these strategies too to help you get through the day. So you're a
Mm.
working mum and you're a public figure. How have you navigated personal and professional life, school drop-offs, and global stages? Are you superwoman? Do you like that term? How have you done it? Like, share some of the mechanics with our ambitious female listeners.
Well, I definitely am not superwoman, and it's something I don't want to strive to be. I want to be calm woman or peace woman. So it's really funny because I've got 4 teenagers home because with school holidays, and I just heard one go out the front door and bang it on the way out. I was just like, just as you asked that question. So there you go. The
Perfect timing.
juggle. It is to perfect timing. And the drop offs and the globalness. Look, I think for me, it's been really important to have people around me, supportive people
Yeah.
that get it as well. But the transition between them, I don't know. It's when I'm with my kids, I'm just mum, and I actually try and do as much compartmentalizing as I can. Like I'm
Mm.
here wearing this hat, and
Yes.
then I take it off, and I might do something again, a ritual. Mum is home, which often means like from work, the bra's off, the tracky pants are on. That's my body's signal that I'm here now and I'm really present. Um, but yeah, to be completely honest, uh, we all just have 24 hours in the day, 7 days a week, and we work, we have many hats. I try not to overthink it too much.
Yeah, I love that.
To be completely honest, I don't know what sort of answer that was.
No, that was.
But let me tell you, the wheels fall off a lot.
Good.
That's just part of it.
And we need women saying that, because I totally agree. Superwoman's a myth, and we should stop using it as I know we often use it as an endearing term or as something that we aspire, but it sets women up for failure, because no one can manage all the tasks all of the time, and the wheels do fall off. So I applaud you for saying that. And I totally agree that my mum always says this to me: be where your feet are. And I love that idea of what you were saying, like when you're at home, you're at home. I also love the reference to the bra. We've got in some group chats with some friends, and we've come up where we're quite direct now. So if we get asked to go out and we don't feel like going out, you can literally text back CBF. So can't be.
You didn't even need to tell me. I knew that one.
You knew that one. Or the other one is I can't be bothered. I'm not willing to pay a bra tax. And the bra tax is when you've taken off your bra at the end of the day. And in order to go back out and be socially respectable, you probably should put on a bra. And if you just couldn't be bothered, you can tell everyone you're not willing to pay the bra tax. So,
oh my God, that is gold. Do your listeners want to hear something really funny? Just trying to keep the juggle. I was going out on Saturday, and I was doing my hair, and I had the curling irons, I dropped them onto my nipple and my breast. I have a burn that big. So talking about Taryn, not wearing a bra for 2 days. Yes, I've been out in the world braless for 2 days. So hot tip, people.
Hot tip, literally. Sorry, pardon the pun.
Please put on a robe when you are curling and using hot irons. So there you go.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, thank you for sharing that.
No worries. I'm an overshare, clearly.
Well, you obviously work in your online programs, in the speaking work. I'm assuming you interact with a lot of women. And I'm hearing, and I mean, the research is definitely corroborating it, but with the women that I have the privilege of speaking to, the women that I personally have the honor of coaching, I'm hearing, and from friends, we have a really serious gender wellbeing gap. Significantly more females than males are experiencing stress and burnout. Are you seeing this, hearing this as well? I just love any anecdotal insights that you might have there.
Yeah, there's just, yes, I hear it. So much pressure. I would say, though, I feel like the pressure is right across the board, just being a human being, because I see it in my teenage boys. I see it in my girl. I see it in my husband. I see it in my friends who are a mix of women and men. And so I just think it's not an easy time to be a human right now for a whole bunch of reasons. And I think given what you do in the space, I think tech has a lot to do with it. I think I mean, this is your wheelhouse, but from a everyday punter, it just feels like it's just happened to us. It's just come on, we're just doing it, and it took over our lives, and everyone's trying to extract themselves from it.
I agree.
And it's just and it hasn't felt good. And we've felt really disconnected. So I just think it's been a bit of a struggle for lots of people. But we need to keep talking about it. And I think what women don't do, I think as well as men, is that we're getting better at it though. Let me say this. We are so used to being of service and looking after everyone else's needs and not putting our own first. Like, I think we've heard that narrative now. Great. We've got it. We've acknowledged it. But now it's time to really voice that next step towards that true equality, which is asking for what we need and having boundaries, being really comfortable with saying no. Even something as small as what you and your girl gang have done with the can't be bothered, whatever it was, that's important. It's important to be truthful instead of continuing to show up and be shiny and be everything for everyone. It's no, sorry, can't do it anymore. Actually, in fact, not even sorry, just not doing it.
Sorry, full stop. Or no, full stop.
No, sorry.
And I find, and this is just observational, but a little bit of science woven in, is that we tend to become more comfortable as females saying this as we hit midlife. And that has a lot to do with hormone changes. You know, estrogen is often described as the hormone of accommodation and servitude. And when that begins to fluctuate and then decline, we lose our filter. Like we often will start to say things, we're more direct, and we do start to say no. So I think that's, and I know there's a lot of narrative about midlife being chaotic and being terrible. I think that's one of the benefits, that we get the courage to actually, as you just said, speak our mind and say what we really want and decline things.
Yeah, me too. And
Mm.
I often think about our mother's generation
Mm.
who just didn't even talk about this. Like, how
Yeah,
did they even survive?
yeah,
Like, we now we're going to the other end of the spectrum where we're just
yeah,
talking about it so much.
yeah,
But I wonder whether this is the opportunity in the evolution of women,
yes,
that we talk about it and our young girls hear it, and it doesn't take them for the estrogen to start slipping away, for them to start using their
yeah,
voice, but they use it from a really young age,
yeah,
as opposed to the mums that were like armoring up.
yes,
I mean, my mum's a classic. She had a
yeah,
fall a couple of months ago, and she's like, "Could you pick me up? I'm a bit hurt, but I'll be okay." And my husband's a nurse, and he's like, "I think we need to go to hospital." She's
oh,
like, in the back seat of the car, she says to me, "Oh, how pathetic is this?"
oh,
This is it. She had 5 broken ribs, a broken jaw,
oh
a
my
broken
goodness.
wrist, and had 5 stitches. And she was going, "Oh, I don't think I need to go to the hospital."
Oh,
So we have grown up in this kind of,
yeah.
this era of armor and toughness. But I really like the feminine softness, and I want more of that. And that comes from boundaries
I
and
agree.
listening to what we need.
Yeah, I'm about to share a post this week saying that the mother martyrdom era is over. Like it's done. We need to stop emulating that. Like depleting yourself and exhausting yourself and having nothing left in your tank is not a sign or a marker of your caring and, you know, your value. So I really challenge that notion.
Oh, I look forward to reposting that
Yes.
post.
And I also loved what you said. And, you know, we were never designed. We often say our brains, I call our brains our HOS, so our human operating system. We have ancient Paleolithic software. Like our brains and biologies weren't built to live in a world where we're always on, rarely focused, and never recovered. Our
Mm-hmm.
HOS has not evolved. And so I think, further to your point before, so many of us are, as humans, not just as women, are really struggling because we are living and working in ways that are completely incompatible with how our HOS was built. And I think that's
Yeah, so
important to
true.
call that out. Now, I just want to shift gears here. We know that 58% of women and girls globally will experience some sort of tech-based violence. And for high-profile women, celebrities, sports stars, women in a leadership position in organizations, the risk we know is even greater. Taryn, you were a really powerful voice several years ago on the cost of online bullying, and you stood in solidarity with Yelena Dokic when she was subjected to absolutely horrific body shaming during the Australian Open. You've seen this play out firsthand. What do you see in terms of the body acceptance work in the online space?
Yeah, I mean, I've been subject to myself trolls right from the very beginning, and then had another good second go at it for Australian of the Year. I
Really?
experienced what it's like to, yeah, to experience people's hatred and comments. When Yelena was bullied, I didn't know Yelena at the time. I've met her a few times since, but I just wanted to support her. And I think we just need to continue to do that when we see behavior that's bad, that we call it out. But we also, in our workplaces and in our everyday lives, we need to stop treating online abuse as part of the job.
Mm,
For women who show up and lead or
yeah,
have an opinion, heaven forbid,
yeah.
it is not the cost of visibility, and it's violence,
Mm,
and it needs to end.
mm,
And I think, sometimes that, when I start talking, I even feel that like despair in my body, because it feels like something I can't control.
yeah.
But then I go back to the very simple things that I can control and that
Mm,
we as women can control.
mm,
And that is what we say
yeah,
about, and I've said it before, other people's bodies, and what we say about our own
yeah.
bodies. I'm not saying that we give permission to others to be mean when we say mean things,
No.
but I don't think it's a great part. I don't think it's a great narrative for us as women to continuously put ourselves down and pick ourselves apart and be mean to ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we need to be really responsible with our words. And I think in the workplace, online abuse needs to be taken really seriously. You know, there needs to be policies, there needs to be dedicated support, there needs to be leadership training, all of the things that we know, because it has a big impact. I have the broadest shoulders literally in the world, and I'm a pretty tough cookie. But I remember in 2023 reading the comments, of course, like idiot. Sorry, I should have it stacked. Taryn, you're a good person. But at the time, I was like, idiot, for reading the comments. I should have known better. But I read them, and I remember sitting, you know, the day after what should have been a really amazing time in a hotel in Sydney, bawling my eyes out. And my then fiance, you know, who's a nurse, who doesn't know anything about any of this world, he doesn't know anyone, it's beautiful, like but he was like, oh, what do I do with this? So it does impact. We can't say that we don't care what people think or what people say. We do. We're human. We have those big feelings, so call it out. That's what we need to do.
Call it out and support other people that you see going through it. And I love what you said.
Even if it's a DM, just send someone a message and just, you know, keep raising them. You know, even if you think, I don't know them, even if it's just, I do that a lot and just go, hey, we don't know each other, just wanted to say that was a bit shit. And here's my number. I've done that many times. Because sometimes it's nice to pick up the phone and talk to somebody.
You sent me one of those DMs, I am pleased to say, when my fabulous executive assistant passed away unexpectedly. You sent me a beautiful, unexpected DM, and it was of genuine support. And I just think championing, cheering on, just supporting people. And I loved what you said before about our language. Again, my wise mum often will say, your words are your wand. And they are. And we can use them as a wand to create great magic. But as you said, you know, they can be hugely detrimental and damaging to people as well.
Yeah, they can.
So thank you. And I'm so sorry, you know, it disappoints me to think that at a time that should be one of the happiest of your life, like such a huge professional and personal accomplishment to be announced as Australian of the Year, that you spent it dealing with, you know, vitriol, unkind, unnecessary comments. And we know, you know, cyberbullying is prevalent, and part of the reason is the disinhibition effect, that when the person who is typing it is sending the unkind post, they don't see you sitting in the hotel room in the fetal position, you know, sobbing uncontrollably. So I agree. We need to reach out, and we also need to take it seriously, and workplaces also need to.
And just be kind. Just, you know, if you got the old fashioned, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. I'm all for challenging status quo. I'm all for raising points and having different opinions and all of that. But when it starts to get nasty, that's when it becomes a problem. I'm actually it's taken me almost 3 years to respond, but I'm about to respond to that, because it's not about not being able to let it go, but it's about making sure that the next woman, and this is the other thing, how I was treated as a woman was very different from my other colleagues who were friends, Australians of the Year. Like, it was a bit chalk and cheese at times. So I just want to make sure that we are mindful as a nation to give, you know, what we say we are, have a fair go, like give the person a fair go. It was day one, guys.
Well done.
Anywho.
Now Glennon Doyle often says, share from your scars, not your wounds. And it sounds like you've given it enough time to heal over, and that 3 years post this is a good time for
That's
hopefully whoever the
I love that.
Australian of the Year is. All right, we're going to close out now. I love this conversation, and thank you for sharing candidly. I love the humor that we've managed to weave in. What does this podcast is called Spacious Success? What does that concept mean to you just now? Like at this point in time in your life, if you were to live, experience, aspire to have, do you have it? Like what does that term mean, spacious success?
It means not rushing. It means being a master of discernment. That's my sort of next phase of life, has been getting a little more discerning about what I do. Success to me means peace and grounding and presence and joy and fun and playfulness and all the things that they're my core values. I think that's what it is. Not doing, actually no, I think it could be doing what I want, when I want, how I want.
That Yes.
It's even
Yep.
saying it feels a little bit.
Doesn't it?
I've been living that for a while now,
Mm.
and I just have to make peace with even saying it because it sounds very I don't know. No, doing what I want, how I want, when I want. No, that's what I want.
Yeah, and full stop.
I had to practice saying that one more to myself.
Actually,
Yeah.
no, not a full stop. I'm going to put an exclamation mark at the end of that one.
Yes.
Uh,
Totally.
Taryn, I am so grateful for your time. Where can listeners find out more about the work that you do? Tell us a bit more about your digital platforms.
Yeah, sure. So they can find me at tarynbrumfitt.com or bodyimagemovement.com for free resources. And we have 6 pieces of research now to show the efficacy of the work we do with young people in schools and sporting clubs in the home. Go to theembracehub.com for those resources. And of course, LinkedIn. I love nothing more than someone sliding into my DMs on LinkedIn. So it's a great place to connect.
Awesome. Well, thank
Oh,
you.
and Instagram and this and that. Just
You
kidding.
are.
No.
Just
In
with
real
kind
life,
words.
I will see you in aisle 8 of Woolies when I'm shopping. Yeah, come and give me a hug.
Done. Well, thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, lovely to chat. Thanks. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.